Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the second live stream that I've done in the last 2 days, technically maybe the third in the last 3 days, but who is counting? There was some news that has come out from CGC a short while ago that I wanted to make you guys aware of. And I'll be honest with you, somebody reached out to me just last night. Just last night, I was walking through my kitchen, a message came in, and there was a question from someone about CGC, and my response was, that's the rumor on the street. And then just an hour ago, an email came out from CGC basically confirming that they were moving into the grading of trading cards. And so they have issued out an email with some details. They have revamped their website with a lot more details, a fancy video, the whole 9 yards. And we are going to look at some of that stuff in the course of this live stream that we are going to do during my late lunch. I've been crazy busy all morning. I saw this news. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just wait. I'm going to take my lunch basically at the end of the day, if you will, and I'm going to go live instead of actually eating some food. So it is going down. CGC is basically saying game on. Who they're saying that to, I will allow you guys to decide. But I thought that this was very, very, very interesting move on their part. And the headline from this email says, game on, introducing CGC trading cards. Excited to announce the launch of CGC trading cards, a new division to authenticate, grade, and encapsulate Pokemon and Magic the Gathering cards. And what it appears to be, they are only doing those two. I want to say Pokemon was, maybe Magic the Gathering was the first one. I can't remember. I want to say it was like 1993. And then the second was like 1996. So these card sets go back a little ways, but CGC is basically saying, hey, we are going to jump into the water. So CGC trading cards extends CGC's reputation for expertise, integrity, and passion to the world of trading cards. Our graders, our collectors, and players too, they care deeply about providing certification services that benefit the hobby. Now, what's interesting about this is in the video that they released, they basically said that their people are forbidden to actually, I think, sell commercially or publicly or something like that, which is very much consistent with how they actually do things on the comic side. So yes, you can be in the industry, but again, according to what they're saying, they don't want any kind of undue influence on how someone may grade a particular card or whatever. So they are prohibited. I actually think that that's a good thing because it cuts down on any kind of uncertainty here. So CGC trading cards uses a highly accurate industry standard 10-point scale, right? So you know now that it is a 10-point scale. And I think we saw a little bit of this. If you remember the preview video that came out maybe 2 months ago or so, when we were like, are they changing the grading scheme, right? There was this fancy video that showed us enough, but not enough to really understand. And now we know that it's probably related to this thing right here and this 10-point scale. So they're using some technology, some fancy stuff here for, precision grading, centering, all of that other kind of stuff. There are those that are into the trading cards that will take a lot more away from this paragraph than I probably take away as just a comic book guy that doesn't necessarily do trading cards. But they have a really cool video here that looks at this, exactly what they're going to do and all this kind of stuff. So if you have time, you may want to check that out. But what's cool is that I actually like that they put the cost in here. So CGC Trading Cards has a simple and cost-effective fee structure as well as industry-leading turnaround times. And they're basically saying that the cost for this thing is only going to be about $8 per card. And I don't know what a normal cost is for some of this stuff, but $8 is either a lot or a little dependent upon your perspective. But I do believe that this card that they're actually showing in this thumbnail is actually, I want to say, a pretty rare and expensive card. I do know that much. So let me head back to the chat real quick to see what you guys are talking about, and then I will bounce over to the website and talk a little bit more. There was a comment here, no other cards except those two. That's ridiculous, says From Heroes to Icons. Here's my belief, and I'm gonna just be completely honest with you. You have to start somewhere, right? You have to start somewhere, and that is my belief, is that they are starting with the two oldest cards games out there. Again, I'm not an expert in this respect, but this thing has been around since 93, 96. My guess is that they are starting there to get people's confidence up, to get people on board with what they are actually doing. And my belief is that they're going to expand over time, but only time will tell, right? In my head, you can't jump into an area that you've never been into before without first sticking a toe in to check the temperature to make sure that this is viable, right? Once you do that, once you have that proof of concept and you have some experience and you have a track record of success of being able to turn cards around and see how those cards perform in the market, my belief is that they're going to expand into other areas, but only time will tell. And the question becomes, are you guys going to jump on board? I don't have any Magic or Pokemon cards, so I can't. What is this? What Pokemon would Reggie be? Brother, man, I don't know, brother. I don't know a thing about the Pokemon. I used to watch the cartoon occasionally, but I don't know anything about that. What a quick recap. CGC did what they're doing cards. They are indeed doing cards. And again, if you guys remember, they teased us with this thing. They teased us with this. I received so many messages. What was it, like 2 months ago or whatever, when they released that video, and people were like, "They changed the grading system. Is there a new case that is coming?" It was like all of these messages. I actually fired off a message to CGC, and they answered my questions with like yes and no's and a little bit of context, but they weren't giving me anything. They weren't giving me any extra. I was like, "Is it a new grading system?" "No, it's not a new grading system. I can promise you that." That was the end of the response. Well, I'm like, okay, well, you go. They would not give me anything. I appreciate someone that can hold a secret. I appreciate the secret. So let me see. What is this? Nate, how you doing, brother? It says, reminds me of an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. Daughter really wanted a special card. By the end, he finally finds one, and she ends up folding it and half and stuffing it in her. I can't believe Black Lotus. Yeah, man. Some of this stuff is really expensive, man. Kimball's in the house. How you doing, brother? This is gonna hurt. There's a comment here from Com says it's gonna hurt CGC as a whole. There is already enough card graders, like 7 companies. You know, there is a belief. There is a belief that you have to be first to a market in order to have some success. And while first mover advantage absolutely plays a part in it, the question is, can you find ways to differentiate yourself from the competition? Can you find ways to advance the technology or the services that are being offered and rendered in order to carve out space for yourself, right? There is a belief that you have to be the first mover in order to take advantage of it, but being a first mover doesn't necessarily mean that you actually will have success or actually stay at the top. I mean, you look at what's happened with DC and Marvel. They've kind of done the 1-2 dance back and forth over time, but you know, my guess is that they have dug into this. My guess is that they have dug into this thing, and they have come to basically realize that there is an opportunity out there for them. And it kind of sort of makes sense. I mean, they're doing the currency, they're doing the comics, and now they're doing the cards. And you know, my guess is that the business case that someone made was a sound one, because they've decided to invest. There's no reason why you go out and develop a new case and all that other stuff if you don't think that you're actually going to be successful. But again, only time will tell how this actually plays out. My whole thing is, don't mess with my turnaround time of my comics. That's all I'm going to say. CGC, if you're watching this, and you probably will, don't mess with the turnaround time of my comics, and it is all good. Do what you do. All right, so let me go. I want to share my screen one more time. I'm going to pounce over to their website. And I think this is the website. This is a new build out of the CGC.com website. It's /grading/trading-cards is where this is located. So CGC Trading Cards, new division that they are building out under the CGC umbrella right here, bringing all that expertise, integrity, and passion to the world of trading cards. And so they highlight here again that Magic the Gathering, which started in 1993, and Pokemon, which started in 1996, comics, these are the ones that they're going to go after because many of these early and rare cards are increasing in value, and it kind of makes sense that they want to jump into those water. But you can see here the cases that have been developed for these things, same gorgeous blue label that we see on the comics, and the bright white grade off to the left-hand side. And again, it's on a 10-point grading scale, but all this information is there for you guys to read it. They have some context around how they're actually going to do the grading and what the grading scale is. They talk about the superior holder, and I don't know what the criteria are for the word superior. My words in my world as a pharmaceutical marketer, that means something, right? When you say superior, you have to prove that, and it could just be an adjective here. I honestly don't know whether they are truly superior to others that are out there, but that's a word that just kind of jumps out at me. And again, you can see some of the details around here. $8 per card, so it's a cost-effective service. And again, I don't know how that compares to others, but let's click on that. Let's see what that actually says. Trading cards, you can do bulk. Cards may be a mix of different types, games, 50 card minimum with a max value of $100, $8 per card. Turnaround time is 30 days, which you're saying working days. So I'm guessing that that's business days, but it might be helpful to have a clarification from CGC on that, whether they're talking about business days or I guess it's the same thing. It's always been business days is the phrasing, but working days, I guess, may also work. But then you have a similar kind of scale here that we see to the comic side. So, they have economy, standard, express, walkthrough with various maximums and also fees associated with that, and also different turnaround times. I wonder if they have expedited. We'll see whether we get that. So there are some subgrades that they're putting in here. A card that has a printing error required for any card with a printing error. So there's an additional fee associated with error cards. And then there's also an additional fee for pedigrees. Pedigree can be added to the label to indicate a card's past or present ownership. To pedigree a card to a previous owner, that collector or collection must be considered to be significant by CGC trading cards with appropriate documentation. Very interesting. That's interesting. And then there's a crossover. Wow. 50. Ooh. Whoa. I did not see this. I actually did not click on this until just now, but just like what they did before with the grading of comics, they are offering a crossover service. So a card and a PSA or Beckett holder can actually be evaluated and crossed over to a CGC case. Removed from its holder encapsulated trading cards only if they determine it received a grade that is higher. So very similar criteria. You guys, again, can read through this stuff. There's a reholder. I'm guessing that's for the future, the reholdering. Imaging. There's a lot of detail here. I mean, it's more detail than we get with comics. There's a lot of detail here for you guys. So again, you guys can probably check this out and follow up if this is indeed something that you guys are interested in. Is that different? Okay, I want to make sure. So that's under the CGC grading tab, and this has now been added. So they now have comics, trading cards, magazines, concert posters, and also lobby cards. So CGC is definitely building out its offering with the introduction of trading cards. And again, it's limited to 2 types of trading cards, that being the Pokemon Go and also the Magic Gathering card. So let me bounce back to the chat here real quick to see what you guys are talking about. Scrolling down, while it is not on the same scale, this is a lot like Microsoft versus Apple or Google. They often get in the other companies' market to force them to play defense and keep. Yeah, man, it's definitely. And again, if you read the email, it says game on, and the question is, who are you saying game on to, or was that not alliteration, the double entendre there, accidental? I don't know, but they are stirring the pot, and good for them. Good for them for stirring the pot. Grading cards is quite a bit like grading comics. Sending through, what is this? Appreciate you, sir. Keep sending cards to the OG triple. Jeremy's like, yeah. No, thank you, CGC. That's how I read that. Newton rings takes up the whole case. Oh my goodness. I hope that we don't have some Newton ring problems on these little, those cases are so tiny. I mean, they have to be like this big, right? So hopefully there's no Newton ring issues with that. So scrolling through some of the comments here, no sports cars. Nope. No sports cards. And again, I made this point earlier in my head. Here we go. The Kirby cards. If only we could get them sent in to CGC. My general feeling here is that CGC is going to start out small. They're going to test the waters to the point that someone was making about there being multiple grading companies that are actually out there doing these things. Maybe what they're deciding is that we're going to stick our toe in the water and we're going to see whether there's some receptivity and some interest in this new offering. My guess is that they believe that there is, but you don't jump into the water up to your neck, right? You kind of stick a toe in to take the temperature before you jump in, and then you may dip the leg in, right, and slowly start to immerse oneself into something. And so my general feeling is that they are going to start out with seeing how this goes, and then they may add more, right? Because trading cards, whether you're talking about sports cards or not, is there's a lot of business there, right? And so my guess is that they're going to try to fill this thing out to make sure that it actually makes sense. To my knowledge, no one has received any of the gold Kirby cards, and I basically sent out as of today's mailing the entire box of Kirby cards, with the exception of this right here. These 4 packs is all that I have left, and I'll come up with some way to actually give those out. But those are the last 4 packs of Kirby cards that I have in my possession. And as soon as we get rid of those, we're going to turn our attention to some Wolverine. These are Wolverine cards that has been provided to me by Comic Collection Agency. I don't know when these are from. But there's some cards in there that we will start to offer up to people as we move forward. So Joe was like, I'll take them. I'll take those things. Hydra Collectibles, welcome back, brother. Glad you were able to kind of join us. What is this? Everyone who is into cards knows you weigh the packs and pull the, and I think that's one of the things. I don't know if you're talking about my stuff. This case was actually sealed, so I don't know if you could weigh the entire case or whether you have to weigh the individual packs to determine which are heavier to be able to know which to pull. But that's actually one of the things that I think that they change with Transformers. I've heard with the recent Transformer cars, they've actually done it in such a way that all the packs essentially weigh the same. So you actually cannot do that very thing that you're describing right now. But I don't know. This is not my world. This is not the world that I immerse myself in. But I do like to share some information with the community that is out there, because I think that there's a lot of overlap between cards and also comics. Even though it's not my jam, I still like to share information whenever I can. So at some point, you guys will be seeing those Wolverine cards. So stay tuned. Scrolling through the comments here, see what else you guys are talking about. Tina, you're funny. Well done. Well, man, I'm scrolling through the comments. Try that at one. You guys are hilarious. So again, this is some cool stuff that I think that CGC is doing. I thought it was pretty interesting, again, because everybody was all aflutter a couple of months ago when they released that little video vignette of like the what appeared to be an adjusted grading scale for comics, and maybe even a new case that had us all aflutter and a buzz as to what they were going to do. And now we now know exactly what it is that they have opted to do, and it is to move into grading trading cards. So they have started a new division. For those that are joining us now, a new division has been started under CGC to grade trading cards. They are specifically starting out with the Pokemon and the Magic the Gathering trading cards from 1993 and 1996 respectively. I think that was, maybe take out the word respectively. I could have butchered that. but they are going to be grading starting at about $8, depending upon how many cards you're sending in and the value of those cards. It can actually go up from that. But a ton of information is being provided right now on CGC's website. So if you head over there, you can find all the information, and then you can also get your membership if you decide that you are going to pull the trigger. What I don't know, because I have not investigated, is whether you can have a membership to CGC for comics and whether that applies to the trading cards as well. My guess is that it does. My guess is that it does. And so as I'm thinking through that, I don't know if the other grading services that are out there require a membership, but that could be a competitive advantage, if you will, for CGC. So now if you have comics and you have cards, you pay one membership fee, and now you have one place to be able to mail your comics and your cards all at the same time, and you don't have to split them apart. People out there say that CGC comics go for 5 to 10% more than other grading companies. And the question becomes, will that hold true for the cards as well? And for those that are trying to optimize their return on investment, it would make sense that if I'm trusting CGC because it is the industry leader, maybe I'll also try them on this other side as well. So it might be a really, really smart play on their part, but again, only time will tell whether this is a worthwhile endeavor or whether it was a mistake. But definitely a cool thing, and they are definitely trying to make magic happen. This pandemic, if you will, has been an opportunity for people to maybe dig a little deep, to maybe do some things that have been on the back burner that they haven't necessarily focused on. And CGC is not wasting any of its time. They are pulling the trigger and on so many different fronts and firing on so many different cylinders. It is really impressive. Are they perfect? No, but they are doing some crazy stuff, man, which is like, you have to respect. You have to respect the hustle, because none of this stuff happens overnight. None of it. So, there you go. There you go. So I'm trying to read some of the comments here. But Master Blaster in the house. How you doing, brother? It's good to see you. What is this? I was lucky enough to have my father pass on a bunch of comics to me, and took me every week to buy comics. There we go. That was cool. The power of comics, brother. It is a fantastic thing. I will tell you that. All right. So I am going to wrap this thing up. I want to thank you guys for hanging out just a little bit. I hope that you enjoyed this impromptu live stream where I brought you some information about what is happening with CGC's new division that has been started. I am actually going to go back to work right now. I'm actually looking at my other laptop because I'm about to go from here to right over there to finish my work. But I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me just a little bit. If you need to reach out to me, you can actually do it in one of two ways, technically two of two ways, but Instagram at Regie Collects, or you can send me an email to Regie@RegieCollects.com. Take care and be well.